Hello YouTube, part 2 of my points I'm trying to make. Anyway, the person on the Crop Circle Connector forum has asked me, sort of, did I forget why I was making crop circles in the first place? And I can only surmise that what the gentleman is asking is, was I making crop circles to kind of give people a belief, and I think that's what's being suggested here. Was I trying to make people believe in things, the paranormal, by making crop circles? And why have I departed from that now? I think that's what's being suggested. Well, I think the gentleman really doesn't look at my YouTube channel, because okay, I'm talking about human-made circles a lot. Now, that always comes forth. It can make it seem like as if I'm not interested in the paranormal, but I've always been a paranormal researcher, mostly interested in UFOs. Had an interest since being a kid, where I was a bit skeptical as a kid as to these things being real, the ghosts being seen, UFOs. But when I had a sighting of my own UFO, aged about 19, driving across a mountain road, saw this triangular thing on the side of the hill, it started for me. That was a point in my life where things started happening, and I had strange experiences. I've told everybody, and I will always maintain, that since it being involved in making crop circles, the paranormality in my life shot through the roof. Things started happening to me much more, and this is why I recommended to people that they go and make crop circles themselves. Because if they want to have the same experiences that me and other circle makers have had in making crop circles, and we've all had strange experiences. In fact, one of the main circle makers, right, who I've said in the past, it's a very important point, he's the main circle maker this year who said, I'm not sticking stuff in the central area, I'm boycotting it, I'm going to stick stuff all around the edges, Now, some people said to me, is there any proof that you actually said that, Matthew, that you actually did say that there was going to be nothing in the central area? Because is there any proof? Yes, there is. Actually, there is proof, because I went on Wiltshire Radio, right at the beginning of the season. BBC Radio Wiltshire rang me up and they said, oh, that three-dimensional circle, the one that looks like a Rubik's Cube? And I said, yes, Clay Hill, yeah, that one. And they went, oh, that's really nice, isn't it? But there seems to be some sort of lack of crop circles this year in the central area. And I said, yes, there is. It's because well, I'd actually primed the guy, before we got on the phone. I primed him so he knew what question to ask. But, he said, oh, there's a lack of crop circles this year. And I said, oh, yeah, in the central area there's a lack of crop circles because the artist who's doing them has refused to put the crop circles in the central area. And he's doing this in order to prove a point, that he is the person making the crop circles. So I think the point is rather well made. Otherwise, we must have a direct line, to the aliens that might be making them, or we know something that nobody else knows. But the most likely explanation, the simplest explanation, being usually the truth, Occam's razor, is that I know the people who make the crop circles, and that's what they told me they were going to do, and that's exactly what happened. And yes, that was on Wiltshire Radio. There is a record of it. I can probably find the day that I spoke on Wiltshire Radio. In fact, I think I've even got a recording of it. I've got a recording of it, but I shouldn't really play it on here. I've got a recording of it somewhere, which probably has the date stamp on when it was recorded by a friend of mine, because I couldn't record it on my system for some reason, so I asked him to record it for me, and he sent me a copy. Anyway, we digress. What are we coming back to? So, yes, human-made involvement this year. People are jumping up and down saying, isn't it terrible, the circle makers are making it really obvious they're making the circles. Well, I don't think that's necessarily a negative thing. I've been trying to tell people for how many years that the crop circles are made by people, and nobody listens, and the money still keeps on getting made by all the people that want to perpetuate the myth. They're not interested in telling people the truth about crop circles being made by people. They just want to make money out of it. And if they can hide the facts and hide the truth, they like to hide the truth. So, going back to the original question asked by the person, am I forgetting the reasons I originally got involved in making crop circles? No, I'm not. I wanted to experiment whether or not crop circles could be made by humans and how people would react. we did this, I made circles, people reacted by thinking that they were made by aliens and couldn't be made by us, the humans. I always wanted to tell people, and did try to tell people, they are made by people. People didn't want to accept that. Eventually, because of me trying so hard to actually prove that these things are made by people, that I had to actually go out and literally say, I'm going to make one here tonight. Here's the evidence that I'm going to make it tonight. Okay, when it appears, keep your mouth shut. Remember, this Whitley Strieber story I told you about, where I gave the details to Whitley Strieber. Whitley Strieber promised he'd keep it secret, and then he was going to judge whether Glickman and other researchers believed that the crop circle was made by people, or made by aliens, as they would believe, And then he would know, Whitley Strieber would know the truth, because he had the design beforehand. So how did I know that design was going to appear? Anyway. So, no, my reasons for being involved in crop circles have never changed. I wanted the truth, and I wanted that truth to be something I could, pass on to other people. And I think I've done that. I think I've done my best to do that. So my reasons have never changed. And I take some exception to people kind of thinking that I had some sort of deceptive agenda, whereby I kind of think it's funny to pull the wool over people's eyes and this sort of thing, which is not true. I mean, I've said to people that there have been times, and this is, you've got to be careful how you say this because people get the wrong impression. So, let's see if I can say this carefully. There are times when, you've made a crop circle and you're really excited and you're like, wow, we've done a good one here. And you go away and you go up on the hill in the morning and you're the first person to see it because, nobody else knows it's there. And you're like, wow, it looks great. Yeah, people will love that. And then you go away and then you come back, you go have a sleep and you come back and you see people, holding hands and meditating and dancing. And you see people doing some weird stuff. And sometimes, you can't help but kind of laugh. You can't help but laugh. But it's not a laugh of like, aren't they stupid people? It's a laugh of wonderment, it's a wonderment for me to see how much amazement these circles give people, and it's like a laugh of joy, it's not a laugh of oh, they're really stupid, ha ha ha. It's not like that at all. You're laughing because you're excited for the people who are excited, and that can make you laugh. I think, I have laughed at seeing people just going absolutely nuts in the crop circles we've created. And you can't help but laugh. I mean, I've seen people dressed up in white robes and they're sort of dancing with their arms out and they're sort of going la 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 la, and they're literally and they're dancing around like whirling dervishes, in the crop circle. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is going on here? This is just amazing. What are these people doing, And it's kind of like you find yourself kind of smiling and, I have laughed. But I do not use the crop circles in order to take the piss out of people. I do not use the crop circles as a way to kind of manipulate others. When you kind of understand that crop circles are made by people, then there is no perspective for me to be saying that we're taking the piss out of the subject, because the subject is people, and it's only other people's misperceptions of the subject. They believe that some are made by man and some are made by people and some are made by aliens. If you've got that perception, then you can allow yourself to think that the man-made element, the percentage that you think is man-made, is obviously made by a deceptive, nasty bunch of people who want to delude. But if you come from my perspective, that these are made by people, they're all really, most likely, made by people, then there is no alien aspect, really, not on the actual making side of things, not making them, maybe inspiration, but not making. And when you come to that understanding, then there is no piss-taking involved, because without the circle makers, there would be no phenomena at all of crop circles.